As part of the study of prana, it is important to know how manifestation happened and how the senses, the mind, the intellect, the ego, the principles of creation of work organs, karmendriyas, and prana evolved. The whole story of creation was visualized by Kapila Maharshi in his philosophy called Sankhya. The term Sankhya means numbering. It is called Sankhya because it enumerates the basic principles involved in the process of manifestation. With utmost gratitude and respect to Kapila, let us have a look at the theory of Sankhya. What was there before the beginning? There will certainly be no concrete answer to this question, as it is beyond human comprehension. At the same time, one may think there could have been nothing before the beginning. Nothingness could only mean stillness. Stillness is silence. We could call this primordial silence as creative emptiness. Everything can certainly evolve from it as it is creative. In other words, everything was present in this creative silence, but in an unmanifested way. According to Kapila, the creative silence started to manifest as various qualities. The first quality which manifested was sattva. Sattva means pure. This quality is clarity, light, and knowledge. From sattva evolved a new quality of passion and activity. Kapila called this new quality as rajas, which means being dynamic or active. From rajas came yet another quality which Kapila named tamas. Tamas is described by the term condensation, stagnancy, lethargy, sleep, darkness, and ignorance. These three qualities together called Trigunas by Kapila. It is the base of creation according to Sankhya. From the gunas, qualities, the elements evolved. Ether was the first element to evolve, followed by that air. From air evolved fire. From fire evolved water, and from water, earth. The creative emptiness, which was there before the beginning, was omnipresent, as it was the only reality. At some point, something began to manifest in the creative emptiness, and that is what we call creation. The creative emptiness was both knowledge and knowing. Knowing is the process whereby one obtains knowledge, and that can only happen through awareness. It is believed that both knowledge and awareness existed within the creative emptiness, but it was not manifested or differentiated. It was one. Let me create a model of creation for explaining the process of manifestation. In this model of the story of creation, awareness, which had until then never been separate from the consciousness, experienced seeing itself. The inherent tendency of awareness is to see and know. The moment it felt like seeing itself, it was able to see. It was not difficult, as there was nothing else in the universe. At that very moment, awareness experienced itself as a separate entity for the first time. As soon as awareness started to feel as a separate entity, there came the celebration of joy. This feeling was experienced everywhere, as the universe was not fragmented at that time. As awareness felt itself as a separate entity, the idea of space arose, the first possibility of duality. Time being an associated dimension of space, started to move against the stillness. Thus, space and time evolved in awareness. As soon as it felt joy, awareness understood that it missed something, realizing that it was not full and complete. It was only a part. Thus, a strong desire to become whole and complete grew, as it was before. To establish oneness with the consciousness, awareness took a leap. But it could not achieve oneness with the consciousness, as the idea of time and space had already evolved in the awareness. While it made the leap to establish oneness with consciousness, awareness felt as if it was caught in between the spokes of time and space. So, followed by joy, it felt the pain upon realizing that it was separate from the consciousness. Awareness started to move in different directions, as movement and direction had already evolved. Once again, it took a leap till wanting to establish oneness with the consciousness. It kept jumping, but always in vain. In the process, something slowly started to form within it in the most subtle way. This desire of awareness was the cause of creation. Sankhya identifies the first evolved principles as knowledge and light, which are sattva qualities. The very moment when awareness felt the desire to see itself, knowledge and light that were there in the consciousness, in an unmanifest form, started to manifest. This is what Kapila conceived as the sattva quality. From sattva, there continued the desire in awareness to reunite with the consciousness, and as a result, movement or activity evolved, which was the rajasic quality. From rajasic quality, something started to form on a more concrete level, and this tangible state has been described by Kapila as tamas. According to Sankhya, these three qualities were the base of creation. As already stated, the elements evolved from these qualities. First came ether, the space. Then came movement and expansion, or air. Then there was friction caused by the movement, which gave rise to heat, or the third element, fire. From fire, elements got mixed up in loose manner and liquid state was generated, which was the element water. It condensed to a solid state, forming the final element, earth. According to Sankhya, everything we see in this world is composed of these three qualities and 5 elements. All the philosophies that subsequently developed in India were based on these ideas. Let us now examine whether there is any rational basis for this theory. Imagine this is a strand of hair. What is it made of? It is composed of small particles called atoms. Atoms are the final particles of matter. It is very, very fine. Although this small strand of hair that appears to be thread-like, it is composed of innumerable atoms. Atoms are packed with energy. So is this truss of hair, even though it appears to be dead matter, it is full of energy. We don't see the high velocity movements of the subatomic particles of matter that happen continuously and cause the manifestation of this thread of hair. Now let us see, where does the movement happen? If there is a movement, there needs to be space for movement. This space serves as the medium for the movement. As there is movement, there should be an intelligence which makes the movement possible. This intelligence knows how to move in well-designed orbits and holds protons and neutrons together as inseparable entities of material existence. There are perhaps more aspects yet to be discovered by science. However, present-day knowledge that enables us to believe that great intelligence functions in the atoms that constitute this lock of hair. Kapila says, this piece of knowledge forms part of sattva quality. Sankhya considers light as a form of an energy that coexists with knowledge. Both light and knowledge underlie the manifestation of this strand of hair. If you would recall, light and knowledge were identified as sattva qualities by Maharishi Kapila. In addition to the passion or motivation to move, actual movement exists within the atoms that constitute this truss of hair, which forms the Rajasic quality embedded in it. As a result of the functions mentioned above, this appears as matter. While it appears as matter, the nature of this hair is inert and lethargic, which means its movement is not seen by human eye. The state of non-movement present in the hair is the tamasic quality. Everything that we see in the objective reality also contains these three qualities. Sankhya philosophy says, in the ultimate analysis, there exists only three qualities and 5 elements that underlie all material manifestations. Our body is also composed of atoms. At the subatomic level, the body has high frequency movement, which is all happening in space. This space is the witness of the movement. The background is considered to be space with respect to the movement, but in reality, it is silence. In turn, the silence, which is the basis of everything, is the witness, the Purusha. Take any material and heat it up. The water contained in it will come out as vapor and it turns into a liquid. It then turns red hot as fire. And if you heat it further, it will become gas or air element. If you heat it furthermore, under even higher pressure, the atomic structure will be touched, liberating the subatomic particles, thus expanding the space within them, which is the ether element. From this, we can understand that everything in the manifestation has 5 elements within itself: the solid state, the liquid state, the state of brilliance and heat, the gaseous state, and finally the space. So Sankhya could have been right in considering the 3 qualities and 5 elements as the basis of creation. Now, let us have a look at the development of the senses. Awareness, being the instrument of knowing, wanted to know what was happening during the process of creation. This thirst for knowledge paved way for the creation of the basic principles for the formulation of the senses. Thus, as ether evolved, the principles for the evolution of the sense, which can detect the presence of the ether element, evolved. That sense was hearing. For knowing ether, the sense of hearing evolved. Why did Maharishi Kapila connect hearing with ether? He knew space is needed for sound to travel. Modern science has advanced to the extent that we know air is needed for sound to travel. But Kapila traced the medium through which sound could travel to space, which is absolutely essential for the movement of air. He was attempting to go beyond sound in his search and saw that the subtler aspect of sound was the echo. He arrived at the conclusion that ether was needed as a supporting background for the subtle sound, echo, to exist. So the subtle aspect of sound is the echo, and the subtle sense that can understand sound is the sense of hearing. In the same way, along with the evolution of air element, the subtle monad, the thermal sense of touch, evolved. From fire, the sense of vision evolved. Heat, fire, and light are inseparable phenomena. Thus, to know the fire element, the sense of vision evolved. From the water element, the principle of the evolution of the sense of taste evolved. From the earth element, the principles for the creation of the sense of smell evolved. In this way, from each of the elements, corresponding principles for the formulation of relevant senses of knowing evolved. All the above-mentioned senses evolved from the sattva quality which is present in the element. Why from the sattva quality? As sattva is the quality of knowledge, the sense of knowing can only evolve from knowledge present in the elements. The whole of creation started as a process initiated by awareness. Whatever happened had to be understood at the very same moment by awareness as it had the inherent tendency to know. Thus, all the senses come from the sattva quality, which is contained within the elements. From the rajasic quality, which is also present in the elements, the principles of the creation of work organs evolved, as the rajasic quality is the quality of passion and activity. From the Rajasic quality present in the ether element, the principles of the creation of sound-producing organ, mouth, evolved. The Rajasic quality present in the air element gave rise to the principles for the formulation of the manipulative organ which can expand, create and dominate, which is hands, evolved, as air represents expansion and movement. From the Rajasic quality present in the fire element, the principle for the creation of a locomotive organ, the legs, evolved. This organ always creates friction and fire when it moves on the surface of earth. The Rajasic quality present in the water element gave rise to the principles for the evolution of the organs of procreation. Procreative organs are naturally associated with the water element according to Sankhya. Considering the fact that life originated in water, and thanks to the Rajasic quality present in the earth element, the principles for the formulation of an excretory organ evolved. Energy was needed for the functioning of all these organs. This energy or prana also evolved from the Rajasic quality present in the elements. Prana has different names based on the different functions it performs. Apana, Samana, Prana, Udana and Vyana. We will go into the details of the different functions of prana later. Let us have a look at the evolution of mind according to Sankhya. We have now seen how Sankhya explains the evolution of all the different senses, organs and prana. Now let us see how the mind evolved. A receptacle was needed in order to store and process the information gathered by the senses. The mind is basically that receptacle that has unbelievable capacities of analysis, synthesis, and judging. It is the sum total of all senses combined. The senses offer the mind an option of a possible functioning by collecting relevant information. The mind can't work without sensory data. The information gathered helps us understand what is happening around us. We have already discussed the theory of creation in which awareness attempted to re-establish a union with consciousness once it started feeling miserable about their separation. Based on the view that everything happened towards that end, awareness had to know whether that end would be met. The system that was created with this purpose was the mind, the function of which was to perform the process of analysis, discrimination, and determination. Awareness could not think anything else, as it was the instrument of knowing itself. The sum total of all the senses together with the analytical faculty is considered as the mind, which is subtler than all the senses. Even though mind is also considered as a sense, it is very different from the other senses. It has analytical as well as storage capabilities. The mind is performing discriminatory processes to find out good and bad from the collected information. The faculty of the mind to discriminate and determine based on the facts presented before it is called intellect. When the intellect could discriminate between good and bad, right and wrong, the possibility to enjoy and suffer arose, and the instrument formed for this purpose was the ego. The principles of individuation, the chit, evolved from this. Mind also has the three qualities: sattva, rajas, and tamas. Discrimination based on the information, on external appearances, is always prejudiced by the information which already exists in synthesized but stagnant form in the mind. We call this as previous knowledge. The stagnating function of the mind is the tamasic quality of the mind. As soon as information registers, the mind picks and chooses the relevant details and analyzes it. The analytical function of the mind is its active part, the rajasic quality. While doing the analysis, the discriminative aspect of the mind makes judgments based on its accepted norms of right and wrong, good and bad. This synthesizing process of knowledge is sattvic quality of the mind. From the tamasic quality, nothing special evolves.